Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is your man Magic here, Admin Magic. I am here with Admin Negro Lantern and Admin Impasse, as we are going to be doing the death battle, Zatanna versus Scarlet Witch. Say what's up, everybody.
What's good, peoples?
So what's happening? What's happening? What's happening?
It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
So,
oh, man.
Admin Static has the VR show going on our YouTube channel right now. Go check those out. But for today, we're going to once again be reacting to Death Battle, Scarlet Witch versus Zatanna, and we are going to be actually watching the whole Death Battle episode. We are going to critique. We're going to see what they got right, what they got wrong, and we're going to see if they're actually correct and who wins. Once again, we're going by Death Battle's own rules. Once again, bloodlusted. Pretty much no prep time unless already explained, which kind of spoiler alert, you kind of have to with these two. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We really do appreciate it. And let's get into it.
Sponsored by The Northman and BetterHelp. The Scarlet Witch, Marvel's Crimson Queen of Chaos.
Zatanna, DC's magnificent mistress of magic.
There are those who wield the mystic arts like gods to reshape creation to their whims.
And there are those who just like to put on a hell of a show. Either way, don't mess with them if you know what's good for you. He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle. Though we may drift day by day in a world seemingly concrete and eternal, the fabric of reality is in fact more delicate than we might dare to wonder. Imagine every single iota of it, every star, galaxy, universe, all within the grasp of a single mortal woman, to control at her whim. Imagine the danger we're all in if you piss her off.
We don't have to, because her name is Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch. As a kid, she and her brother Pietro were poor Romani, who were lucky enough to be turned into super-powered freaks by the High Evolutionary.
Unable to control her apparently...
First of all, the only reason why that is the only reason why that is because of outside forces and control. We know good and dang well Wanda Maximoff, one, can be considered a person of color, and two is a mutant. Let's stop.
Yeah.
The High Evolutionary. The only reason why that is because of Disney and Fox. But hopefully that'll be changing back when the X-Men come back. Let's continue.
Well, hopefully. I don't. I like the High Evolutionary background way better. It adds way more depth to the characters.
I mean, if we're going by the movies and stuff, yeah, it does give more rationale to why they are the way they are. The only problem is that I got is with the whole Quicksilver situation as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, that's the...
I mean, does it really matter with Quicksilver, though? Because Quicksilver's situation has turned into, regardless of like what his origins are, at some point he clearly died off, came back, and then Wanda made him more than what he was before. So it really didn't... I mean, do we really care now at this point?
Yeah, since apparently they done killed them off several times to make this legitimate, I guess.
Yeah.
But you still ruined like 40 years of history.
I mean, you know what?
It's like you made, like they were literally the first two mutants on the Avengers team after the Avengers storyline. And then pretty much the whole no more, you pretty much erase the whole, you didn't erase it, but you kind of did with the whole no more mutants thing, because then they turned it back on.
Then you had the whole other thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't long before Wanda lost control and was branded a witch.
Until who would show up but the mutant master of magnetism himself, Magneto. Definitely giving off some big dad energy there.
So, to return Magneto's kindness, she and Pietro joined his Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Great name there, Magneto. Solid branding.
And it wasn't long before she traded her supervillain creds for a membership with the Avengers, which might have been a bit too much for poor Wanda because she definitely drew the superpower short stick.
By waving her hands, Wanda could create small random events known as hexes, subtly altering the probability of any event happening.
That's a cool way of saying she could do like one magic-y thing per fight and then be totally useless. An energy blast here, some telekinesis there, a force field if she's feeling frisky. Not exactly the same oomph as, say, the God of Thunder or the Jolly Green World Breaker.
But something strange was happening. Over time, her hexes increased in breadth and power, as if there was more to Wanda's powers than met the eye. She learned to slow and stop time, drain and absorb energy, duplicate herself and others, teleport to different dimensions, and even strip others of their powers entirely.
It was almost as if there was more to Wanda than just being some random science experiment.
Can we pause?
Expert-
Can we pause?
Yeah.
Because I feel like we need to take a moment to acknowledge what he just said. Somehow, I kind of feel like it's going to be important in the future. I don't know. I'm not the smartest nigga, but I don't feel like the dumbest nigga. That might just be an important quote he made.
What was the quote, just to reiterate?
Yeah, go for it.
So my man said she could get rid of people's powers entirely.
Okay, let's continue.
Yeah, let's continue.
On the deepest trenches of character history. Jocelyn, if you will.
In reality, Wanda's powers weren't entirely the result of the High Evolutionary, nor was she the mutant daughter of Magneto, as he's claimed. Her powers weren't just some simple hexes. She might as well have been a god. Until now, she had merely been dipping her toes into the vast ocean known as chaos magic, though her powers may...
I hope...
Do you want to talk about it, or do I need to...
No, we'll get to that in a second. I'm just wondering who this new broad is, because I don't know if they brought her in because people just hate Boomstick and Wiz so much.
No, I'm 100% sure they brought her in because they're like, okay, there's going to be two guys judging a death battle with just all females, so I'm pretty sure they probably got some criticism over it.
Maybe their approach is something new, right? You know, maybe to bring in a third party as the person who's the person. Because surely, you know, at this point, they're like, maybe there should be somebody who's supposed to be like the representation of non-bias, you know, or somebody who's supposed to represent the consciousness of the community that's always correcting us. Because it's not like they didn't implement the editing piece where the block always comes in and it corrects something that they said. Maybe she's just a physical representation of that direction they've been going in.
Okay, so let's go back.
That will make sense.
Let's go back a little bit before that part right there. Just a little bit. Just a little bit before that part right there. Just a little bit. Okay, yeah.
I know.
And absorb energy, duplicate herself and others, teleport to different dimensions, and even strip others of their powers entirely.
It was almost as if there was more to Wanda than just being some random science experiment. Let's ask our resident expert on the deepest trenches of character history. Jocelyn, if you will.
In reality, Wanda's powers weren't entirely the result of the High Evolutionary, nor was she the mutant daughter of Magneto, as he's claimed. Her powers weren't just some simple hexes. She might as well have been a god. Until now, she had merely been dipping her toes into the vast ocean known as chaos magic. Though her powers may have seemed to be the byproduct of science, they were in reality the gift of the Lovecraftian elder god Cthon, who attempted to turn Wanda into his future vessel.
Reminds me of my summers by the sea with old Uncle Yogg-Sothoth.
In time, Wanda discovered she could alter the probability of anything she could think of, turning a mathematical impossibility into an absolute certainty, and vice versa. Wanda's powers kept growing and growing, turning her into a being strong enough to rival even the mightiest of gods. Like, literally, Wanda's chaos magic is counterpart to the Phoenix Force, the embodiment of cosmic order.
Let's see. While Wanda defeated the Phoenix Force with Hope Summers, Hope was using Wanda's own powers at the time. Regardless, her chaos magic
Yeah.
being equal to the Phoenix Force had already been established. So, okay. So that is
because that was during the whole Avengers versus X-Men situation where Hope did copy her powers and stuff back when they considered her a mutant.
Yeah, when she was still considered a mutant.
Don't even get me started with this. Let's just keep going.
I'm so mad.
It's giving me a
It was before Convergence, so you know.
You know what, Joe?
Oh my God.
Oh God.
You know, that fiery space chicken that can destroy the universe? Wanda fought it and even briefly erased it from existence.
At her height, the Scarlet...
That was with Hope. It was not by herself. You just showed the panel. You literally just showed the panel with them too. Hold on. God damn it. You literally just showed the damn panel.
and they wonder why. And they wonder why nobody taking it seriously.
And okay. So for those
like
that
you
don't
really
know,
see her with Hope.
And for those of you that don't know who Hope Summers is, Hope Summers is an Omega level mutant that can copy the powers of any mutant within her vicinity and use them to their max fullest potential, even to those that have not even reached that max limit of their powers yet. So a Nexus being and an Omega level mutant with the powers amplified. That is why you get no more Phoenix. Yes, and I know Charles was about to point it out. Yes, Wanda did hit the Phoenix Force by herself. So I'm not taking that away from her, but you cannot use this. You just literally showed the panel.
This is one of those situations.
I wasn't going to contradict you, man, but I was just
best for your argument.
Yeah, it really doesn't work for the argument.
Because on one hand you could say, well, regardless of how we view it, it was just Wanda's powers. We could argue that Wanda still would have came to the same conclusion eventually and did the same thing, but that's not the case. So this isn't the strongest example for the argument. You know what I mean? It's one of those kind of situations. Like, had the situation turned out differently, maybe you'd have something, but we don't know based on what we were shown.
Let's continue.
Erased it.
Yeah.
At her height, the Scarlet Witch achieved total control over energy, the weather, the elements, your mind, your body, your soul, all of time, all of matter, and all of reality. Wipe you from existence with a thought.
Can we go back? Can we go back?
Yeah.
Because I just feel like it may be important to listen to the things he said.
Wanda fought it and even briefly erased it from existence.
Oh no.
At her height, the Scarlet Witch achieved total control over energy, the weather, the elements, your mind, your body, your soul, all of time, all of matter, and all of reality. She can wipe you from existence with a thought and rend the very fabric of the universe as though it were tissue paper.
She isn't even limited to chaos magic either. They might not have been what made her a god, but the High Evolutionary's experiments did make her more receptive to channeling magical energy. Oh, maybe that's why Mama Boomstick always warned me about redheads.
She's so receptive, in fact, that Wanda is the lone Nexus being of the 616 reality, a focal point for the universe's magical energies, and one that belongs equally to all other timelines.
It's no wonder she was considered a candidate for Sorcerer Supreme. I mean, shit, why wasn't she? She might as well be a walking, talking Infinity Gauntlet.
Well, she may have the power of a god, but she's still stuck with a human's body that can be overpowered by physically stronger foes. Though, she also survived being shot with a black matter bullet capable of, and I quote, world-shattering energy. So there's that.
She does technically need to be able to think of a spell in order to get it to happen, so she could theoretically be blitzed, but she's also blocked.
Okay, we need to pause that right there.
Yeah, we need to talk about that.
That's an untrue statement. Untrue. There was the story where Wanda was with Vision, Spectrum, Conan, and I forget who else was on their team, but they took on basically the Greek pantheon. They took on Nyx, I believe was her name, right? And Nyx tries to strip Wanda of her ability to even do anything, you know what I mean? And so Wanda's abilities coped, and they started to fill in the blanks so Wanda could still use her powers. So that statement's just not true. We literally saw Wanda's powers evolve so that she could keep moving forward. And it didn't take a long time either. The effects were like literally in moments. And when Wanda understood what was going on, she was able to continue on.
It's almost like her magic compensated for a weakness of its own. Weird how that works.
Let's continue.
Crossing Hammer kept up with dudes like X-Man who can fight within plank time and even amp her own speed beyond the concept of speed herself.
Despite being far and away the mightiest among Earth's mightiest heroes, Wanda resented the pressure of her incredible power. She actually wanted a quiet life as a wife and a mother.
But because no one in comics is allowed to have a happily ever after, that life was taken from her by literal Satan. Not the last time he'd do this, too. Wanda snapped and she took the multiverse.
So that's also not true. In Marvel comics, Mephisto is not Satan. Satan is a totally separate character. Satan is actually the father to two other iconic Marvel characters.
Yep.
So no, that's
Damien Hellstrom being one of them.
Yeah, and Mephisto himself has his own offsprings, which is Blackheart. So that's
not to mention. Yeah, not to mention, it wasn't him just coming and taking the kids. She kind of took 2 pieces of his soul to make the kids without, him knowing and then finding out. And he's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to take those back.
Yeah, let's get this very, very clear. Satan and Mephisto are two differently entirely people. Okay.
Yeah.
Just like the people that like to get confused with Lucifer and the First of the Fallen in DC. Those are two entirely different people with entirely different motives. So
exactly.
Let's continue.
With her.
By tapping into an inconceivable and unknowable pool of energy known as the Life Force, Wanda rewrote all of reality, creating a new universe where life was just how she wanted it.
No matter whose lives she had to change, in this House of M, she had her family back, but at the
Wanda's sanity was already fragile at that time, but according to both Dr. Doom and the Marvel Encyclopedia, channeling its energy drives a person insane regardless of their mental state. Which is true.
And that's an extension of literally like just about any character in this particular context who were, characters who were tapping into like the highest parts of their potential. Like they're usually doing something harmful to themselves. We can talk about an alien species if that makes you comfortable. If at some point the context is that alien character or that foreign machine character, whatever background it has, when they start doing the upper limit echelon kind of things, there's always some kind of harm, period. They're either going to drive themselves mad, trying to stay in control, or they're going to, start bleeding from the nose, hemorrhaging in the brain. There's always something. That's just how comics go. It's a trope of fiction, not even just comics. It's a trope of fiction in general.
God Doom is also a perfect example. He was extremely paranoid, and especially even more so when Black Panther fought him with the Infinity Gauntlet, and it was all the distraction. And when Molecule Man got free, it was pretty much over.
Exactly. He was so frazzled to the point where he was fighting Reed. He actually even admitted Reed would have found a better way to save everybody if he had the power.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let's not
Which
forget
is
what
something
Adam
that-
Bakir said.
no,
but we ain't
let-
got to get on that. You know what I'm
No.
saying?
But we know for a fact that no way, shape, or form Doom would ever admit to something like that.
Yeah, no.
Not to read.
Doom
No.
Doom
That's
pride.
How you knew, that's how you know he was messed up, because there's no way. No, like there's little realities to back this up.
Especially since you got confirmed not once but twice by two different things that your world and your universe is the only one that works.
Exactly.
So
man, let's not even get into a Doom talk right now, because it will be here for a minute.
The cost of her sanity.
And it wasn't long before it all came crashing down around her. Once her family and friends discovered the lie of their new lives and turned against her, she uttered 3 fateful words and erased nearly all of mutant kind. No more mutants.
Wanda weaved her magic throughout all of existence, created cracks across reality which spread throughout the Omniverse, and threatened to annihilate all of creation, the entirety of Marvel's infinite cosmology. Everything that ever was.
Shit got dark, and while Wanda has worked to keep her powers in check since then, that threat is...
While Wanda has not connected with the life force again, she's strongly imprised in Uncanny Avengers 2 that she can. I mean, that's with any magical character. We're gonna get into Zatanna in a minute.
Yeah, like literally.
always there. But honestly, that sounds more like a problem for anyone who's stupid enough to get in her way.
Both a blessing and a curse, a help and a hex. Such is the true power of the Scarlet Witch.
Well, let's get this clear, because there's a huge misconception about the way that Wanda powers work, and the thing is, like, okay, they talked about the probability situation. Well,
yeah,
surely there's somebody out there who looked at this, or even maybe just in other corners of the Versus community, right? And they always mention, well, if Wanda can do all this, why doesn't she always save the day every time, or so on and so forth? Well, the way Wanda's powers work is that there's always a consequence, right?
Yep.
So Wanda can do any and everything that she wills, but the problem is that there's a consequence every time, because again, it's chaos magic. And for those of y'all that don't know, chaos magic is like a really pure form of power cosmic. So this or at least it can be argued that it's a pure form of like power cosmic. That's a better way to put that. But so if Wanda, let's say, for just an example, right? We're not going to stay on this too long, but just for an example, Wanda saves Earth from an invasion. Well, there's probably going to be another invasion later, way sooner than what would have been had Wanda not forced her hand, you know? And that's how Wanda's powers work out. So you could be like, oh, Wanda defeated Thanos when Thanos had the heart of the universe. Okay, but something just as bad is about to come along.
Exactly.
So we're going to end up with Noel, and we're going to need Captain Universe by the end of it. You know what I mean? That's how Wanda's powers work. So yeah, in the immediate, Wanda's going to dominate, but there's going to be a consequence, and that's the thing Wanda consistently tries to avoid. That consequence that always comes. Unlike the other characters in Marvel magical circuit, right? That's the best way we'll put that. They usually have to do something as a trade-off in order to use like these high magics, like Doctor Strange has the dimensional insects that he has to consume in order to do like these broken casts. But with Wanda doesn't have to make those sacrifices like everyone else, because her powers themselves come with a very heavy toll. So,
all right. So thoughts about what they use for Wanda? I know we talked, in between, when we thought something was off, but any final thoughts on Wanda?
I mean, I don't got a problem with what they use. I just have a problem with the context they take out of it sometimes.
Negro Lantern.
That's really all it ever is, man.
Mhm.
It's the context, it's the lack of context, and it's the and a lot of times with other matches, it's the clear cut biases. Like, let's be real.
Mhm.
Think about the majority of like, and forgive me for giving away the ending here, but think about the majority of all the DC Marvel involved matches and who won the majority of them, and then under the circumstances for which they won.
Mhm.
It's like that didn't make any sense to the way that you broke it down. That didn't make any sense, yet you still found a way for this particular character to win. How?
Yeah, because there's one famous one in particular that I still sit here and wonder, like, okay, how the fuck did this fight go this way?
I can't imagine a person, an unbiased, cool mind who looked at the Namor Aquaman and was like, yeah, that ended made sense.
Or the Thor and Wonder Woman. I'm real. That's when I knew they were just no, like absolutely.
My unbiased agrees with you, but my DC bias is like, yes, absolutely.
No, you can get the fuck out of here with that. I don't care. I love Wonder Woman. Still one of my favorite characters. Fuck no.
It's like, yes, absolutely. We'll find a way. Yes, absolutely.
It's sad, man, because they have accuracy. When you go back, like, remember the Raiden versus Wolverine? So much accuracy. So much accuracy.
Insane accuracy. Like, I didn't even really think of that concept because I'm like, that actually makes a lot of sense given how his blade works and everything. It works like Antarctic vibranium and shit.
So much accuracy, and then you get other moments like, as you just said,
or literally them trying to drag out that Batman versus Black Panther fight.
Oh yeah, they said. I still don't understand why an actual panther got boxed in that situation. I don't get that.
Or a lion, or a why were they at a zoo? Why what the fuck were they doing in a zoo area? That don't make no damn.
Let's continue with Zatanna.
Yeah, let's continue.
Yeah.
This episode of Death Battle is sponsored by The Northman.
Remind me why you need to be holding a god-slaying axe to watch a movie trailer.
Weapons of cosmic destruction center me, Wiz. And this movie's gonna be so friggin' awesome, I needed something to match.
That's what exactly I'm about to do.
I'm excited for the Northman, but dear God, guys.
Not to mention, you know what I mean? He's literally the one thing that pisses me off is he's holding Yonborn in his hand, knowing what they did. Man.
We're not going to speak on that. So,
I can't do it. I can't do it. Seriously.
Oh my God.
They're trying to piss me off.
Always. But I mean, yeah, no, like I said, they do have some biases somewhere. It's just,
I mean, the fact that they've done Batman as many times as they've done Batman.
You know? Like, seriously, what was it? Spider-Man versus Batman, Captain America versus Batman, Black Panther versus Batman.
The sheer fact that they try to make Batman out to be like some incredible combatant.
Didn't they just do Iron Man versus Batman too?
Not that Iron Man versus
Lex Luthor.
Iron Man versus Lex.
Yeah. No, it was Iron Man versus Lex Luthor, but then there was another one with Iron Man versus Batman recently.
Was it? I don't think I caught that one.
Yeah. Listen, they stretched out everything they could, put Hellbat for Batman, but Iron Man still won, so I wasn't completely mad, but they stretched that fight out for way longer than they needed to.
There's nothing Bruce has in his arsenal messing with Tony's.
That's what I'm saying.
Armor.
And even then, they were trying to justify how Hellbat would be Godbuster, and I'm sitting here like, you do realize he didn't fight Darkseid with that, so he survived dark side with that suit.
We got to stop hijacking this.
Yeah,
this
we
one.
really do because let's just keep it moving.
Yeah, because we can get into that.
Oh yeah,
Ah, Jesus.
and the chaos shard that was a part of it.
Come all to see the magnificent Zatanna Zatara, for never was there a greater professor of prestidigital performance.
AKA magic! Except Zatanna spells aren't just smoke and mirrors, they're the real deal, so you're really getting your money's worth.
She learned everything she knew from her father, Giovanni Zatara, who put his powers to good use as one of DC's very first superheroes.
No joke, he's the guy who taught Batman everything he knows about escape artistry. He debuted the same issue as Superman, and the young Zatanna was more than happy to serve as his assistant, learning everything he knew about the cutthroat world of entertainment. Oh, and Cape shit too, but the former is way worse.
She inherited her father's incredible mystical abilities as well. Essentially, anything Zatanna thinks of, she can make real. And she focuses this absurdly powerful ability by speaking her desired effect backwards. Her father based this technique on the diaries of Leonardo da Vinci, who some theorize wrote backwards in order to hide his ideas from the repressive medieval Catholic Church.
Or because he was left-handed.
Yeah, that's another theory, if you hate fun.
And Zatanna's apparently big-brained enough that she has no problem speaking backwards at the drop of a hat. Like when this one dude kept reversing time in the middle of her sentences. She started speaking in palindromes so that she'd still be speaking backwards no matter what. I mean, you know what they say, Wiz?
True.
Go hang a salami. I'm a lasagna hog.
With her magic, Zatanna has bent the laws of reality to her whims. She's transmuted matter on an atomic level, teleported across dimensions, commanded the elements, turned invisible, removed powers, cast illusions, read and controlled minds, traveled through and stopped time, and can even wipe people from existence with a single word.
It might not seem
Okay,
obvious from that.
can we take a moment right
Yeah,
now?
can we pause that?
Sure.
Consider everything he just said in contrast to what was said before in this same segment. Right? Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, keep in mind that from their perspective, right? Not from my perspective, from their perspective, one character had utter and complete control over, the other has commanded.
Let's continue.
One is absolutely the dominating factor, while the other bend. That's not my choice of words. That's theirs.
Yep.
Let's continue.
Get up, but Zatanna is one of the most powerful sorcerers in DC. Like the time she battled the Time Tailor Zor, an old enemy of the Spectre. You know, the angel of God's divine wrath.
In order to defeat an opponent of such unimaginable power, Zatanna focused her magical might into shattering the boundaries of reality. She reached out beyond the very comic panels themselves and pulled Zor's entire magical universe down around him. She literally handled all of reality like it was a sheet of paper and crumpled it in her hands.
That might seem completely incomprehensibly impossible to us, but it's all a matter of belief. Literally, as long as the
Okay. So the whole Zor thing, that comes from the Seven Soldiers of Victory run in the late 80s, early 90s, which was one of the first ones that where none of the team members met at all, and they all had their separate stories. And technically, the Seven Soldiers of Victory is only 2 issues, but it's like 30 issues or more because of everybody's individual stories. And Zor is not just a enemy of the Spectre, even though he did fight the Spectre. Zor, and okay, so this was written by Grant Morrison. So if you know who Grant Morrison is as a person and as a writer, you already know that this is going to be haywire.
Yeah, exactly. It's just abandon all hope.
So with Zatanna fighting Zor. Zor was a part of the Time Tailors, who, according to Grant Morrison in an interview, the Time Tailors was the fictional representation of the writers of DC, who helped fix plot holes, storylines, things of that nature. So when you see that panel of Zatanna reaching through, she's reaching through the gutter space. Now, for those of you that might remember or recognize or hear the word gutter space, that is what Gwenpool did in her comic run most of the time. And she literally, there's also another panel where Zatanna in the Seven Soldiers of Victory says there's 10,000 eyes watching me at all times. And that is technically supposed to be the representation of us as readers, which once again, if you recognize that sort of thing, that is what happened with Cosmic Armored Superman when he felt through the pages and was feeling us breathe and such. A similar, but not as powerful version of Cosmic Armored Superman. I at least wanted to give you clear representation of that whole Zor thing. Now there's also, of course, a panel on there where she tells Zor, give up, you omnipotent cuss word. I'm not going to use that as a base of an argument.
Exactly.
I am not. I am going to say
many, like, if we really want to get down to it, many a character has been called by other characters that ain't really at that level omnipotent.
Have called themselves omnipotent. So
exactly.
we're going to say he was the ruler of the domain of his space, of his universe. That's what we'll call it. We're not going to use the omnipotent part. Let's not use that.
Yeah, exactly.
But continue.
Zatanna believes she can do something with her magic, she'll do it.
As she puts it, her magic is essentially asserting one reality, then replacing it with another. This is similar to other magical characters like Dr. Fate and Green Lantern, whose powers have been stated to work the exact same way.
But it's not like any rando can do magic by wishing on.
Pause. I'm gonna rewind now. Hold on.
That's a super misrepresentation of the Green Lantern.
Wait. I missed that the first. Hold the fuck up. No, wait.
A sheet of paper and crumpled it in her hands.
That might seem completely incomprehensibly impossible to us, but it's all a matter of belief. Literally. As long as Zatanna believes she can do something with her magic, she'll do it.
As she puts it, her magic is essentially asserting one reality, then replacing it with another. This is similar to other magical characters like Dr. Fate and Green Lantern, whose powers have been stated to work the exact same way.
Oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me. I thought that was Alan Scott. That was how. Oh, hell no.
First of all, let's me being the DC Encyclopedia. Let me.
No.
Okay, so first, I'm the DC Encyclopedia, and Mr. Negro Lantern is one of the hugest Green Lantern knowledge people that I know. Let's get one thing. Let's get one thing.
I respect that character a great deal, but no.
Perfectly. Let's get something perfectly clear. The Green Lantern Corps in the Silver Age of comics, when Hal Jordan came into being, is purely scientific, because once again, the Guardians of the Universe hate magic. The magic.
Yeah, this is. If you were someone who was trying to argue different, you're extremely overlooking the fact that not only are the rings, Smith, but they're a technology. They're an actual
with an AI system
device.
With an AI system with restrictions built into the fucking rings.
Yes, they are tapping into a particular spectrum, and it's the emotional spectrum. So yeah, it's not magic. It's not magic.
It is literally called the emotional electromagnetic spectrum, which is why people like Dr. Polaris, whose power is magnetism, is able to affect Green Lantern rings. Dr. Polaris cannot affect magic.
And Cyborg Superman in particular hacked a Green Lantern ring.
Sinestro literally went to the antimatter universe of Quad and constructed the Yellow Lantern rings. The emotional entities are not magic.
What?
That is
not
not.
What they're trying
How
to
did I
allude
miss
to.
this?
What I assume they're trying to allude to is Alan. And Alan,
that's what I'm thinking. They had to have meant Alan Scott.
Yeah,
and there's
Alan
no
is
way.
is the exception to the rest of the Green Lantern.
Yeah, because he's technically not a Green Lantern by that sense. He gets his power from the Starheart and everything. But
which the Starheart is the culmination of whatever the Guardians of the Universe hated as magic and tossed it out.
Yeah.
But even
basically.
still, the Green Lantern, Alan Scott's magic is not the same as DC's magic. Because once again, he still needs to recharge
his
and things
ring.
of that nature. He needs to recharge his ring. Magic in the DC universe, almost as similar in the Marvel universe, has a cost. And the greater the magic, the greater the cost.
And DC tells us quite definitively that magic is small blips of reality left around.
Yeah,
small little reality like left around.
As mentioned by Dr. Manhattan and Doomsday Clock.
Yep.
And then even more so, even more so further in Justice League Dark, the Rebirth edition, that even more so of that with Hecate, and magic actually truly comes from not only from the Scraps of Creation thing when they erased Dr. Manhattan's thing, it comes from the dark multiverse, from the upside down man, and Hecate literally closing off the dark multiverse for the upside down man to not come into the actual positive DC multiverse. That is nowhere near the same as the Starheart being brought. That's nowhere near the same. Now, I know what they're trying to say. Oh, well, you need willpower to do it. But once again, will is an emotion from the emotional electromagnetic spectrum.
Oh, you said that perfectly.
In the DC universe is primordial. It is not the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. And if they were trying to use Alan Scott, they should have picked a better picture, because that's pretty surely Hal Jordan in that picture.
Yeah, Magic said it perfect. Like the emotional spectrum is driven by something primal, not majestic. Because emotions are primal, regardless of which one you tap into. It's a primal thing. It has nothing to do with like a spiritual, majestic malevolence.
Yeah, like
let's continue on.
I'm just so mad. I missed this. How did I miss this? It's so bad.
Let's go back.
It's really so bad.
All a matter of belief, literally. As long as Zatanna believes she can do something with her magic, she'll do it.
As she puts it, her magic is essentially asserting one reality, then replacing it with another. This is similar to other magical characters like Dr. Fate and Green Lantern, whose powers have been stated to work the exact same way.
But it's not like any rando can do magic by wishing on a star. Zatanna is genetically predisposed to this kind of magical reality warping. Her mom was in actuality a homo magi, a subrace of humans that are naturally adept at magic.
So it's no wonder that Zatanna became an invaluable member of both the Justice League of America and Justice League Dark. The Shadow the Hedgehog version, basically.
Zatanna harnessed an entire year's worth of sunlight into a single energy cloud, created ruptures across all of space and time throughout the DC multiverse, and has even claimed she's as powerful as Superman himself. Pre-Crisis Superman, in case you were wondering. Her only limit is her imagination and will. In fact, her backward speaking is mostly a stagecraft tradition meant to boost her concentration.
In a pinch, she can cast a spell with a single thought, and I doubt anyone's winning a quick draw with her. She's matched superheroes like Martian Manhunter, who's scanned every mind on Earth in a blank instant. Or how about Dr. Fate, whose magic traveled across the universe at the completely immeasurable velocity of God.
Zatanna has fended off countless reality
Hold
shattering
up,
threats.
hold up.
Yep, pause it.
Okay,
Yeah,
I got a couple
yeah.
problems because I don't understand why they showed post-crisis Superman or pre-crisis, sorry, Superman from the Silver Age, and what they themselves took time out to correct people on with the sneeze. I don't understand why they used that. What?
Exactly, because
Why did you use the sneeze like that was just Superman's fucking strength or his natural ability to do that when you yourself took time out to point out, oh yeah, it was the dust that was in Superman's nostrils.
Because I've had to explain this so many times from the comic that a lot of people so-called they say they read that they don't seem to understand that not only was Mr. Mxyzptlk, which was like this fifth dimensional imp, if you guys don't know, he was playing a joke with Superman and a bunch of people, and he was sending out this magical sneezing powder all over the planet, not just one area. Superman comes, inhales all of the sneezing powder meant for the entire planet, and is holding it back while he flies off somewhere else 2 sneeze away in a dead galaxy. A very violent reaction that he would not have been able to do on a normal basis.
And another thing too, this mentioning Dr. Fate seems really arbitrary, because to me, and maybe this is pettiness on my end, but you're going to bring up Dr. Fate, but you in the context where you're talking about all Zatanna's capabilities, but she ain't save her daddy.
Yes, that's very
Can we
petty.
talk about it?
That's very petty.
Can we
very,
talk
very
about
petty.
it?
No, we cannot talk about it. It's very petty. That's very, very petty. But no, that
it's
whole
the truth, damn it.
that whole thing with the Dr. Fate thing is arbitrary at best. That makes no sense. The whole traveling through dimensions thing, as you mentioned with Scarlet Witch, is just fine. And not only that, Zatanna pre-crisis is nowhere near as strong as she is post. You just mentioned
there's a huge power difference.
her going against a perceived writer of the DC Omniverse. Why are you mentioning pre-crisis Superman?
Exactly. That was one of her biggest feats from pre-crisis, was copying Superman's powers.
I can feel the hatred. Like it just slapped one of them. What was you thinking?
And then not only that, you literally, which I'm pretty sure you're probably going to explain in a minute, you just used Pralaya in a scan, which is something that pre-crisis Zatanna. Anyway, let's continue because it's just it don't make no
all day
sense
at this point. It doesn't.
Rich
It really doesn't.
Man, primordial darkness that is evil incarnate, and the void beyond creation, Pralaya.
And you just used the scan with the great evil beast and upside down man. Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, why was the great
all
evil
of
beast?
DC Comics, all of creation, everything.
Oh, you mean? Hold on. Let me, I didn't know if you didn't. I didn't know you missed that.
At the completely immeasurable velocity of God.
Zatanna has fended off countless reality-shattering threats like the Eldritch Upside Down Man, primordial darkness that is evil incarnate, and
Why the fuck?
So let's
evil beast.
So let's
There's
get
gonna be
let's
a
get
lot of out of context stuff right here in this little segment.
yeah, like
Yo.
let's
Wait. They can't be talking about what I think they're talking about.
Yes, they are talking about what you're talking about. You mean yes, where the great evil beast where they pretty much further expand into it in the latest Justice League Incarnate issue of what happened. Yes, they're going way back when. We're not too long after that. Swamp Thing is the one that brokered the pact between the presence and the Great Evil Beast. That
Exactly.
scan that you
Zatanna did
just
not have
used
any.
was so damn out of context that it makes
Wait. No.
It's so appalled.
No, because it doesn't make sense. Why? Zatanna didn't have shit to do with that.
This is what you get when you don't have actual enthusiasts for the work that you're doing. You know, like this is what happens when you got a team of people who just
Oh my
straight
God.
do, whatever they found on the shelf when they went to go buy it for that weekend.
Like,
You know, and then whatever they skim through on Wiki, and it's like, oh yeah, this had to be true. Oh, we have a Discord with casuals. What they say has to be true.
Bro, I have these issues. I have these Swamp Thing issues. How the hell did they make a connection with Zatanna doing shit in that situation? The fuck?
I am going to let you know now. No one, not the Spectre, not Zatanna, not Shazam, no one had anything to do with the Great Evil Beast coming through and just say, I'm ending everything. The only person that had anything to do with any of that was Swamp Thing. And all he did was broker a pacifist agreement of just saying, hey, Great Evil Beast, just chill the hell out.
That's what I'm saying. Zatanna wasn't even involved.
Let's get through it. I have no doubt in my mind this whole segment has a lot of contradictions.
Let's
oh, my head. I think I got a head. I think I had an aneurysm of some kind too.
Let's continue. Let's
Oh God.
Let's go back.
Magic traveled across the universe at the completely immeasurable velocity of God.
Zatanna has fended off countless reality-shattering threats like the Eldritch Upside-Down Man, Primordial Darkness that is evil incarnate, and the Void Beyond Creation, Pralaya.
This shadow goop lady ate all of DC Comics, all of creation, everything. Gods, demons, rabbits, and spandex, everything. And Zatanna's magic was strong enough to hold her back.
And then, after secretly implanting Swamp Thing inside,
It didn't actually hold her back, but all right. Zatanna Zatanna played a huge factor in keeping everybody safe.
Mm-hmm. Not holding.
Hold on, let's get through this and I'll explain everything within this portion.
Yeah, we're gonna need to explain this because context apparently means nothing to these people.
Back in
Oh God, my head.
Older than God, and then blew her ass up from the inside with a whole new omniverse. Abraca goddamn Dabra.
Such is the almighty power.
Okay. So let's just go to.
I like how they just skipped over. We literally looked at Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
I like how they just skipped right over there. Like we didn't just see Swamp Thing.
So okay, let's get this. Let's get this perfectly clear. This is issues. This is issues in Justice League Dark in the New 52, issues 35 through the end, which is 41. This starts actually even going back. This starts in Justice League Dark New 52 annual number 2, in which the House of Mystery and the House of Secrets combine together to try to take over the Earth of DC Earth. In order to break this, John Constantine and Zatanna had to use the Cadaver Curse, which pretty much makes one person remember the love between two people and the other person forget entirely. When that curse happened, after that, it broke the time stream of the DC multiverse and sent everybody everywhere. And so they were all in different places. During this time of everybody being separated, Zatanna is pretty much at the beginning of time where magic was primordial and pure and was amplifying to God knows end. She had pretty much, and even in panels, it says it doesn't, she says she's probably been there for hundreds to thousands of years, learning magic, doing spells. And when they all finally come back together, Pralaya, who in this case is an avatar, and this is an avatar form of Pralaya. The actual true form of Pralaya is Oblivion, who existed before God. So, pretty much says that the magical curse broke the time stream, which makes her to be able to be entered. Now, once again, like I said, I'm trying to condense this because it's literally 6 to 7 issues of this madness. Now, yes, most of the work is done by Zatanna while she was prep timing in primordial time. However, it is also with the help of the House of Mystery and the Tree of Life. That is the Swamp Thing, because as they said, Pralaya erases everything. The only thing that is able to still survive with the help of the Tree of Life is the House of Mystery. Now, the Swamp Thing that you see jumping into Pralaya is not even the actual Swamp Thing. It is a garden spud from the House of Mystery garden. And they tell him the plan, and then of course, you see the whole Swamp Thing jump in and life springs out. Now, yes, of course, they did mention that, you know, that all of this is Zatanna's magic. Yes, I am not going to take away from Zatanna in this instance, but this is hellified prep time.
Exactly.
Not to mention, as we just went, or as you just broke down all of that, not to mention, and again, on top of what we could clearly see from the scans that you, a lot more went into this to aid the situation.
Exactly.
It wasn't on one individual's back.
It was planned. It was orchestrated.
Even when they added the correction to mention Constantine, that undermined everything you said. Everything you said was undermined by this one particular note.
And I know, and as it explains in the little thing, that yes, it is still a part of Zatanna's essence. So if you want to count that, that's fine. But still, however, it's not all Zatanna by herself. I will, if you want to say the John Constantine thing is a part of Zatanna, fine. However, the Tree of Life is a major reason of why this was able to come to be, because he literally in panel sticks roots into Zatanna to give her the idea of, hey, this is what you could possibly do. That whole held back Pralaya, you cannot hold back Oblivion. What they did was only delay. And the holding, if you want to say there's synonyms, that's kind of stretching it. It's more so of delaying the inevitable. Because if it wasn't for, because Pralaya in that instance, when she was held back, laughs.
Like scoffed at the shit.
And was distracted. If it wasn't for that, I was about to be gone. Because once again, in the beginning pages of introducing Pralaya, she is so powerful that she consumes the presence. I don't know how much more powerful than I could get that. She's literally Oblivion.
Also, too, let's address this. Like, this isn't it's not an achievement. When you say somehow puts up with Constantine, you just want to make that chart look filled. That's not an achievement. I don't want to get. Let's. We ain't even made it to the fight yet. Let's get
We ain't even at the fight yet because of all these damn inconsistencies and out of context shit they keep doing with this. What is so hard about just putting the story with the context, with the characters and everything that led up to it? What is so hard about this shit?
Beyond creation.
I can't do
This
this,
Shadow
man.
Goop Lady ate all of DC Comics, all of creation, everything. Gods, demons, rabbits, and spandex.
Let's get through this.
And Zatanna's magic was strong enough to
Let's
hold her
get through this
back.
before I just check my phone at a wall.
After secretly implanting Swamp Thing inside Pralaya, she weaved a spell within him to literally regrow all of reality back in seconds.
Zatanna tricked a being
It
older
will be
than
one thing,
God
but that Green Lantern
blew
shit
her
did
ass
for
up
me.
from
It
the
really
inside
did.
with a whole new omniverse. Abracadabracadabra!
Such is the almighty power of Zatanna's will. Should it falter, though, or should her focus be disrupted, it could all come crashing down like a house of cards. Belief is a fragile thing, after all, and her powers were weakened for a time after she lost belief in herself.
And she's definitely got one big weak point. She's a huge daddy's girl.
Despite her amazing career, she has struggled within herself to live up to her father's legacy, especially after his heroic death.
And this MFer has died a lot of times. So Z's therapy can't be cheap, especially after dating John Constantine. Oh, I can just smell the lager and self-loathing from here. No, wait, that's me.
Questionable romance aside, Zatanna is a consummate professional raised on one singular principle. The show must go on, and she'll always finish strong with a standing ovation.
Wait, stop. Don't skip this video because I've got great news for you.
I'm about to skip this video. I don't know
So,
what you talking about.
yeah, that's really cringy. And again, like I was saying before, the problem there is that they kept trying to make out as if all these things happened under Zatanna. And they kept that going. They kept trying to sell us that BS. Oh, all this is happening under Zatanna. All this is happening under Zatanna. Like, no, it wasn't Zatanna's will. It was
Exactly.
all people aiding. It was all these other events aiding. There was a lot that went into that moment.
Like I said, and this is, like I said, I'm the DC encyclopedia sort of thing. So, like, granted, she was amplified a lot. So I will not take that away from her. I will not take away that she used a protection spell to have Pralaya distracted and scoff. I will not take away the fact that, you know, all of this prep time came into fact and being. And the whole Constantine thing, like I said, but literally it comes down to the tree of life. Giving her the final idea and bringing up the House of Mystery, because that's the part that they also didn't bring into context. The tree of life brought back the House of Mystery, because like I said, in the Justice League annual, it was one house, then got destroyed after the cadaver curse was broken. So yeah. So okay, let's get to the actual fight and see who wins.
I think we may have to play it a little bit because I think they have one more sponsor in the video.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they do have the better help thing. So let me skip through that.
All right, the combatants are set. We've run the data through all possibilities.
It's time for a death
Somehow I don't believe him.
battle with magic.
Yep. I don't believe them whatsoever.
Oh, thank you. And for my first,
The thing that pisses me off is that you use this crap, but in the damn Jinx versus Harley Quinn, you use hellified great freaking animation, but you use this for this battle.
Yeah. I don't get it either, man. I don't get it either. They did it for Batman versus Iron Man. So yeah.
ta-da! You, what sort of 2-bit sorceress do you think you are? 2-bit? Perhaps I was being generous. All part of the show, folks. Huh? I'd say this calls for an Avenger!
Ladies and gentlemen, Hulk versus Superman and that battle.
Do you know the difference between you and I? Power! Well, I think the difference is know a trick when I see one. Ah! You know this. You can't run forever. Now make like a magician and disappear! Enough! No more sound! A disappearing act was the first thing Dad ever taught me. And for my final trick, no more witches. And that's our show, ladies and germs.
Okay. All right. So we don't really need none of their. I don't know if you want to play it for this video sake, but we don't really need their breakdown. All right.
Yeah, we really don't.
So we see, right? Death Battle chose.
Hold on. In fact, we're gonna pause that for a second because I'm going to do something here. Give me a second.
Okay, so here in this part of the video, we don't really need Death Battle's breakdown because we can see the results already, right? And the result is that they chose Zatanna for the victory. Now, disclaimer: the issue is not choosing Zatanna for the victory. This is the versus community, of course, and all of our choices that we don't see written out on panel are based on what ifs. I think all of us forget that sometimes, because we can be very passionate about what we're talking about. But this is what if. Now, where the actual issue is in when you let's take the death battle part out of it for a second. When you and someone else have a debate about a versus match between two characters, and you've established like all the feats, right? You've shared the scans with each other, or you've discussed them verbally, and you've gone through all that. And when you're done with it, you try to come up with an emulation of how those things result in an outcome, right? Now, the problem I have with Death Battle is that it seems like they skipped over that and was just like, well, we already know who we want to win. Because in your own animation, in your own simulation, you had Wanda. Let's not forget all the things you broke down to us. You had Wanda say no more spells, yet somehow
It was no more sound.
She said no more spells.
No more sound.
Go back.
Sound.
Go back. If I got it wrong, then that's I'm upset about nothing. Then
Hold on. Give me 1 second.
if I heard spell,
Hold on. Let's go back. Let's share the screen. Boom.
are y'all sure she's saying sound?
Yes, she is saying
Yeah,
sound.
because she said, she even said, shut up.
I
at the
retract
end.
my upset statement. I keep hearing spell, bro. It's like I want to hear it.
It's okay. It's all good.
It's okay, bro.
No, because I could
then I'm
because they don't have because they're trying to include that whole accent and so
Yeah, and it don't sound right.
Well, it's probably still on me because if you both heard sound and I'm just hearing spell, then that's just me. I'm not even gonna blame it on the accent.
fair enough. So yeah, it's no more sound.
It's no more sound.
So for me, like I said, DC bias aside, if it's base versus base, Wanda wins.
Exactly.
But the thing with Death Battle is that they like to use what we hate in the versus community, which is composite. Because you're pretty much combining eras.
Well, only composite when it comes to DC for sure. Because let's never forget the Thanos versus Darkseid.
Yeah, and they didn't even use all of Thanos stuff, but they used every bit of Darkseid shit.
Yeah. So I said, DC bias aside, they like to use composite, and it's just like you didn't really need to use composite with Zatanna, because post-crisis to rebirth to Infinite Frontier is all one Zatanna, because the Zatanna that held back by your words, Pralaya, is the same Zatanna that's in rebirth, and it's pretty much the same Zatanna in post-crisis, because her daddy is still dead. And has been for a long time. So it's not like this is a different Zatanna. This is all one Zatanna. You didn't have to do an amalgamation and use pre-crisis Superman and all of this craziness stuff. And I can see why they picked Zatanna, but I think the problem with me is that you can make an argument for Zatanna. You can make a legitimate argument.
Yeah, with the research and the facts and the context and everything, you can.
But you pretty much,
impossible,
because I'm pretty much gonna break down the fact that you pretty much use Pralaya. You use Pralaya in order to be able to have this come out, because, and let's not kid ourselves, of course, we've all seen the episode. So let's not kid ourselves. It's just like you tried to you had all so much out of context that it doesn't make any sense. And it's just like, and then you even admit in the battle there are times where in your research that Scarlet Witch wins.
Exactly.
So it's just like you easily could have just said it's a draw. Because you pretty much say in battle that they are pretty much even. At the highest forms of their power, they're pretty much even. And they have fought and they fought universal beings, multiversal beings, omniversal beings. They've done fourth wall breaking. They're even. So at worst, this is a draw. And it's just like, just have it be a draw, because the way that Great Evil Beast thing still gets me.
Great Evil Beast, the Hal Jordan thing, the Palela out of context. I couldn't do it, man.
Like I said, for me, my whole beef this whole time was that I thought in the simulation, she said no more spells, and it just threw me off. Like, how did the spell still happen after that? Everything else though, because when we were like, well, not really, like everything else though is like what we said from my perspective is what we said earlier in just the breakdown. You from your perspective, you said that one character had total control over these elements, for which both characters bend to their will. We established that, as Magic said. At worst, you've established that they're on the same play. They're on the same playing field in order to lead to a draw. But you established that one was in complete control over all the elements. The other one can only bend to their will. I don't understand that. Why you're again, to me, that's omission that you know which one of them would be the winner, based on that outcome. Like, you've already established that.
Like I said, base for base, there's no comparison. It's not. It's Wanda, base for base. Like I said, you used a composite, which once again you didn't have to, but you did. And and of course with Pralaya being a personification of she is the personification of Oblivion. And in that form was an avatar. So you pretty much use was like, okay, so since she fought off a DC writer and she fought off pretty much an avatar version of Oblivion, there you go. And it's just like, even as a DC person, DC bias aside, I'm just like, you could have made the argument. You could have made the argument in so many different ways.
Exactly. I'm a DC and a Marvel fan. I have been for years and reading about these characters and stuff. There are legitimate arguments you could have made for Zatanna to actually come out on top.
Like the upside down man is a perfect example of holding back a multiversal being.
And literally destroying him from the inside out of yourself, of all things.
Going against Witch Mark Cersei, where she took away her ability to be able to spell backwards, and she used a knife and she cut herself out. Being able to go against being able to be as more powerful than the Phantom Stranger, who once again is is one of God's right-hand men. Like
literally boxing with the fucking Spectre.
Like, you could have used so much other stuff, but you tried to hit a home run, and it's just like, it doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't sit well with me, because it's just like,
I would have liked if in the simulation it was just Zatanna bringing it to Wanda, and then Wanda just in one swoop ended the whole thing. Just ended the whole thing. Again, not even based on like any feats that I could bring up for Wanda, just based on their breakdown. Exactly. It could literally came down to Wanda just didn't want her to exist in any multiverse. And it could have happened after Zatanna erased her. It could have been Zatanna erased her.
And here's the biggest thing for anybody that hasn't read up on Scarlet Witch as of recently and stuff, especially with the current landscape for the X-Men comics, I don't blame. We literally had an instance where this girl died and brought herself back to life. Like, legitimately died. It was literally like, you know what? I don't feel like being dead.
So, there you go. Wanda wins. I would give 55-45. Simply
give about it. Well, no, you continue. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I really want to say 60. It's really 60-40, but I give.
I think I'm with you. 60-40.
Depending on her state, 55-45. Simply because of Wanda is, and once again, I'm a DC fan, so take all biases out of this. She's a Nexus being. She's a Nexus being. She is literally the only person in the Marvel 616 that is a Nexus being. So off rip, multiversal versus universal at base. Universal at base versus multiversal at base. And then Zatanna has to get amped, while Scarlet Witch does too, but Zatanna has to jump even more further to get to where Scarlet Witch is a lot of times at base. So
exactly
60-40 Scarlet.
That's something too I would point out. Like, if Wanda wants more, Wanda can provide more for herself. Wanda doesn't need access outside assistance, and we've seen that multiple times with her character. Like, she doesn't, maybe a pep talk at the most. Wanda doesn't need outside assistance. As whereas
kind of one of the problem is with her character and everything. With all the power she has, she does way too much shit at one time that occurs a lot of consequences.
Yeah, and that whole, which again we talked about earlier, that whole, oh well, you know, she'll lose her mind. Okay, but this is a death battle. There's no, there's no narrative here. The only thing that's going on here is this character versus this character from as Magic said, base to peak potential. Like, Wanda's doing anything that Wanda needs. Wanda can provide for herself, and then she'll have to deal with the consequences later.
Yeah.
Not to mention the whole losing her mind thing only works in an argument when it's about what she was going through at that time period with House of M. A lot of people forget she lost her kids. She was in distress. She was trying to bring them back because she was having issues with the fact that they were just gone.
Well, even more so when you say like the character, not just Wanda, but any character, right? Any character that's losing their mind. Okay, under the circumstances of the heroes would like to stay, on that person's good side, or we want that person not to lose sight of what the focus is. Like it's a death battle. So that person losing their mind means that they're losing their what would you say in that moment? They're losing their humanity in that moment, right?
Yeah,
that has no reflection on the power being put out.
Yeah. Exactly. Like it doesn't get rid of it. It makes it actually worse.
Yeah.
Because she's not thinking of maybe I shouldn't do this to that person. She's thinking, oh, gone.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, if this is an actual death battle, you said in your own words.
No holds barred.
And no holds barred. And you both admitted that they can erase people from existence with a thought. So once again, at best, this is a draw. And at worst, it's Wanda 60-40, 55-45, depending on what you want to use. So it's just like
this is why
nobody thinks this is a spite match, and that's the important part.
Oh no, absolutely
one thinks it's a spite match, but when you take the character mannerisms in the context, when you take the abilities in the context, especially for me, if you take the way they themselves broke down the information, the way they brokered all the context from their side to us, like you made it very clear which one was the dominant.
Yeah, and it's just like, and then like I said, if you were not to bring in the whole prep time, because that's the thing, that's composite, like you're bringing in prep time, and it's just like
it doesn't work in a random matchup.
Yeah, especially when one of your things is there's really no prep time. That's in one of your rules. So it's just like Pralaya, you're not facing an omniversal being without prep time.
Exactly, and you're not coming out without prep time.
Y'all pointed that out to me. That she says sound that's annoying too. That seems really forced. You're in combat with another magical being who's shown to match you thus far in the fight, and the one thing you think, because you don't acknowledge, unless I missed that too, you don't acknowledge in the fight, all her powers is coming from her talking, or is coming from the vibrating air around her lips. So you just, the one thing you came up with out of everything you could have done, which was an unlimited amount, the one thing you came up with that's really forced.
Didn't make no sense now.
Like if you would have said no more talking,
I thought it was spell.
Exactly.
Like if you would have said no more talking, okay, you tried to take away the whole speaking thing. Cool. Then Zatanna would have been like, okay, I can still do telepathy, magic, boom, 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 boom. Cool, we're good to go. You said no more sounds, and it's just like, where'd that come from?
From thinking shit.
It was it's really unprovoked. Like, I don't know. Anyway, that's. I don't think there's much more that I could add to the conversation, man.
I think there's nothing more we can add.
There's nothing more that we can add. Once again, this is a draw. At best, at worst, Wanda 60-40, 55-45. DC bias from myself aside. Once again, you can make the argument for Zatanna. I just think more so.
And you can't make a spite argument.
There's no spite.
There's no spite here. Anyone trying to spite any of these characters in this fight is ridiculous, and you need to really read your comics.
So
I also do want to say that I think a more interesting matchup would have been Wanda and Raven. Because to me, those characters have more.
Absolutely.
So,
Raven being half demon and being literally the daughter of Trigon, like really coincides with what
as we've talked about
Chazon and everything.
As we've talked about personally, in the admin chat, like I see Raven and Scarlet Witch both written the same, which is why I find them to be the same. They're both really ambiguously written characters. I don't think Zatanna is ambiguously written. I think Zatanna is a character that you go to for certain circumstances for which we've always been able to count on that being the circumstance.
Yeah, she is the sorceress supreme for a reason. So she's Doctor Strange, Dr. Fate, Zatanna, Brother Voodoo, they're all pretty much, they're not ambiguous. You know what they are, you know what they do, things of that nature. Raven and Scarlet Witch are ambiguous as hell, and they both dealt with the Phoenix Force, whether in a crossover comic or in their own comic. So for Admin Impasse and Admin Negro Lantern, I am Admin Magic. This has been our breakdown of Death Battle. I am going to put it in the beginning. This is very long.
Oh yeah.
So get your popcorn ready. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And coming up later on, we'll have more videos for you. Admin Static will still continue to do his VR show. Until then, take care. Peace.
Peace out, guys.